This podcast is brought to you by the Brown and Whitworth Foundation. For the strongest foundation by the strongest man, pound for pound, 50 and up. Call the Brown and Whitworth Foundation. But guess what? You can't call them. Brown and Whitworth Foundation. Hey fellas, are your tits too big? Do you need tit reduction surgery? Well, good news. I got the perfect man to get rid of them flappy udders. That's right, the surgeon himself, Captain Cranberry, at 10-8 Personal Training. That's right, he is the revolution of fitness and boob shrinking for young men and young adult men. So fellas, if your tits are too big and you're tired of fooling your kid, your newborn, you don't want them thinking that you're the wife, because you got tits, call Captain Cranberry at 10-8 Personal Training. That number is 951-445-3133. Again, 10-8 Personal Training, 951-445-3133. Winter is upon us. Fall is ending. You know what that means? It's football season. That's right. And that's college football season, to be exact. Whether you're a Volunteers fan or a Georgia Dog fan, Tony Mullins is your man. That's right. Celebrate your team doing so well this year, Georgia winning and Tennessee beating Alabama, by buying your family a new roof. That's right. No better way to celebrate your team doing well at their sport. And it could be any sport. It could be tennis. We could be talking about, you could be watching some old ones, cheering Andre Agassi. And he won, but you already knew that, because that's a long time ago and it's past. So celebrate by getting the best roof in the world. Call my man Tony Mullins at Affordable Roofing. That's the original Affordable Roofing Company. 423-593-9605. That's right. Score that game-winning touchdown for your family. Call Affordable Roofing, 423-593-9605. That's Affordable Roofing Company. Welcome to the Militia MMA Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Galicchio, and I'm really excited for this episode. We have one of our more experienced student. He's not homegrown, so that's very special to us. One and only Dan Johnson, aka Toothless Dan, or Dan the Chef, as he's known around these parts. How's it going, Dan?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So, where are you from?
I'm originally from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Actually, a little village about 40 minutes outside of Santa Fe called Pecos.
Pecos. How long were you there for?
Just like my childhood years, and then I left at a pretty early age, around 13.
What's New Mexico like?
It's pretty cool. It's the high mountain desert, so it's very beautiful. It's very scenic, and there's a lot of really cool art and culture due to the fact that there's a lot of different walks of life out there. Between like the natives and the Spaniards that came through and conquered, and they all have kind of like their different communities, and then
you got a lot of Indian reservations out there?
Yeah, I mean, northern New Mexico is covered in, like, the northern New Mexico, and especially, like, the Four Corners area it's peppered pretty heavily with different reservations and whatnot.
Did they have casinos?
Yes.
How are the casinos?
Oh, they vary. There's some pretty nice ones, and there's some pretty seedy ones. Little ashtrays in the desert. Do you get free
drinks when you gamble there, or no?
I've honestly never really gambled at those casinos. I'm not I don't really, I'm not big in the casino scene, I guess you could say.
You're missing out. Good old gambling.
Yeah, I lived in Vegas for a couple of years too, so I got a little gambling in.
Okay. Good. It's tough to win, but man, is it fun.
I have actually a horrific gambling story. It's kind of funny. When I first moved out to, well, it was actually before I moved out to Vegas. I was dating a girl, and it was the first time I met her family, and we went out. And
How old were you?
I was like 26, 27, something like that.
Okay.
And we went out, and on the last day, we went to the casino, and her dad and her brother were talking about how they were going to show me how to gamble and how to win in Vegas, and because they grew up there and they were locals, and
They knew how to win.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. It was a surreal scene because I have a lot better things to like throw money away on than gambling, I guess. So I wasn't really too thrilled about it, but he was going to give me money to gamble with, so I was cool. And we went down there, and we went to Sam's Town, and we played video poker. And the whole time he's giving me tutorials on how to bet and how to...
And you keep losing.
And I'm losing. Yeah, we put $100 in, and we're doing like dollar bets, and I get down to like $30. And he's like, all right, put it up to max bet, right? So we put it up to max bet, and we start playing with the same little rules that he set out. All the while, the girl's brother is telling me how his name in numerology is like 3 sevens, and so I should probably bet on sevens anytime a seven's up. And so I'm like humoring them, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay.
So then, the $30 ends up going back up to like 150 or 180, 300, and then...
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we go to max bet, right? And I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm like, let's cash out. We're like 300. I'm like,
yeah, sweet.
we did it.
You're like, that's way more than I've
This
had.
is the time that you're supposed to cash out, right? And they're like, no, let's keep going. So we keep going.
Let's go to a bigger table.
And a couple more hands, we go up, and the money that, yeah, exactly.
Up and down.
And then suddenly, I get dealt a royal flush, right?
What?
Yeah, straight up.
I've never hit a royal flush.
Beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, ugh. Yeah, my jaw hits the floor. I'm like, this can't. Oh my God, like, is this happening? But at the same time, I'm in shock because you always see on like TV and stuff, the bells and the whistles and ding, 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 and all the coins fly out everywhere. None of that was happening, so I was like really confused about what was going on. And I'm, once again, like a novice video poker player, so instead of like holding the hand like you're supposed to, I just pushed deal and it dealt the hand away.
Oh no, you're the worst. They probably hated you.
Oh, they did. They were like, what did you just do? I'm like, where's the, I don't know. What just happened? And yeah, it would have been like a $13,000 payout or something like that.
Oh, man. You're the worst.
Yeah, I blew it.
You're the woat. Worst of all time for our
much.
first-time listeners.
I try not to gamble.
Yeah, because you're really lucky. But
I'm really not
you're
very
also
good
the
at it.
woat. Oh, man. So let's talk about Santa Fe. What's Santa Fe, New Mexico like? Oh, we talked about that. That was culture.
Yeah.
You're really into the culture there.
Yeah.
I heard somebody said that they should have 2 flags. They should fly 2 flags, brother. The gay flag and the Mexican flag. Is that true?
I'd say that's probably true.
That's
That's actually one of the coolest parts about Santa Fe is it's such a melting pot of, there's all kinds of different walks of life there. Like there's a huge gay population. There's, straight people. You've got a little bit of everything there.
You think
sure.
they're doing drag shows for kids in Santa Fe, New Mexico right now? I bet you they are.
I don't know.
That's
maybe.
the new craze.
Maybe.
That's for areas that don't have Disneyland, and cheap parents. They're like, Well, we couldn't fly you out to Orlando and put $10,000 in a vacation. We'll just take you to this drag show where they're dressed up like princesses.
Ariel looks different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's culture, you know. They switched it. No, but usually the gay districts are fun. They usually have the best bars.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
They're fun to visit.
gay bars they're a really good time to go visit with, especially if you know people there, and like they can get a little weird. You just pop on in there. It can get a little weird. But if you have friends there and stuff, like the people watching and like it's usually a lot of fun. Like it's pretty wild to watch.
But then you just get eventually a little bit too old for the area. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like
unless you're that old bartender who's like 45 with a nickname and some weird haircut.
Yeah.
You know that exists. There's one downtown right now, and there's one at every downtown.
Yes,
that ever
absolutely.
exists.
Yep.
You can't be that person.
No, I'm not.
I mean, just like you can't be that lady from Cheers either.
Which one?
The one with the black hair.
Sam's wife,
Yeah.
or the little angry lady that's married to Danny DeVito?
Yeah, that's Sam's wife.
Ah, yeah.
You just can't be that. You can't be that, or you can't be the 45-year-old downtown either.
Nobody wants to be
both of those aren't a great options.
Oh my goodness.
So, what did you do in high school? Anything? Sports stuff?
Yeah. I got into trouble and fights and did a lot of drugs, and so I left home when I was 13, and I was living in hostels and shit, trying to go to school. Yeah.
Why'd you leave home?
Oh, just unhealthy home situation.
Your parents crazy?
Yes. I mean, I have a pretty good relationship with them now. But back then, there were some circumstances in play that
they were like, clean up your room.
We're pretty undesirable.
I hate this place.
Yeah, it was a little bit weirder than that. Kidding. But no, it was, I left home after a big, blow up. It's like a whole other story, but
what happened?
I left home super early.
So you got into a fight with your parents, and then you just said, all right, I'm leaving for real.
Yeah, I mean, it had been kind of brewing up, and they had this weird, family meeting, and they, basically accused, I don't even know why, I would never involve my kids in this scenario, but they basically accused me of being, an affair child, the product of an affair, so I got booted. Well, not really booted, but they were like, so you're not really, and I was already having issues, getting along with my parents and stuff and everything and feeling kind of weird about it. And so about 6 months after that happened, I had it, and there was a big fight, and I took off, and
you moved to
we lived by a highway, and I fucking ran to the highway with a backpack, and that was that. And I slept in the first couple nights. I slept in a park by this library, and then I met a friend of mine who I've sort of lost touch with or whatever, who was this skater kid, and he let me crash on his couch for a bit, and then I ended up getting a job at this coffee shop. It was this crazy punk rock coffee shop.
Oh, cool.
And they kind of got me in contact with the hostel and everything like that, and so I kind of set it up from there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What was it like living in a hostel?
It was it had its ups and downs for sure. Having that kind of independence when you're that young can be kind of cool and kind of fun and adventurous, but also can lead to some pretty seedy shit because you don't know what the hell you're doing,
Yeah, you're not you're not hardened and street smart enough at 13.
Yeah, you're a walking target basically at that rate.
Oh, so. Man. I'm sure people were stealing shit if you were in your hostel.
Oh yeah, no, I got robbed multiple times with stuff. by people that were like my friends or whatever,
Oh, man.
or they wanted, you know how it goes. There's always the little vultures that like creep around looking to peck on bones and shit.
You were like, that, I like that. Little creatures to pet on bones. What about, you were like that movie, that old movie.
Peanut Butter Falcon?
No, I have no idea what that is.
Sorry.
No,
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
The one where the kid runs away and he joins up with a gang of thieves.
I mean, what, like,
I forget what that movie is. It's a classic, though.
Pinocchio. Yeah, no, I don't know. I definitely
Look it up, Bobby.
Moonrise Kingdom? Oh, that's old.
I went to I definitely, yeah, and then, I ended up dropping out of high school and just kind of going down a bad path for like many years, and then actually discovered jiu-jitsu, and that's sort of what pulled me out of like the whole thing.
How old were you when you started training?
I was about 22. I think I just turned 22.
Did you have your GED?
No, I was 23. Oh no, God no. I didn't have anything going for me like that. I had actually I had like a weird episode with hard drugs and like some health problems. Like I kind of overdid it and it landed me in the hospital and stuff. And then I actually ended up staying with a really good friend of mine. He kind of sort of saw what I was going through and basically not kidnapped me, because I was, I knew I needed help, and I was like, but he took me in and like he wouldn't leave my side. Like he kept me there and wouldn't let me leave without somebody going with him, so I wouldn't like do something stupid, like go back to my old ways or whatever, and would make sure I ate and all that. And then through that experience, I actually met the guy who's he's probably like my best. He's more like a brother to me than anything. It's the guy who got me into jiu-jitsu, and he's kind of he's my coach when I'm back in New Mexico.
Nice.
And we used to actually, because my friend John lived right across from the skate park, so we used to just go, like, we'd get all the buddies together and we'd get a little rowdy, drunk or whatever, and then we'd just go like have these little fight tournaments in the skate park, like down in the bottom of the bowl where you couldn't really see or whatever. We would do it. We called it Battle Arena Toshindens, and we would just go over there and beat each other up. And then like
a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys striking.
Well, no, we were just a bunch of clowns at that point.
You were just all clowns.
Nobody had jiu-jitsu, and then like the way I got introduced to it is my friend Ben would come over, and he was already a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, so he would, like, it was like Mortal Kombat, like you'd climb the ladder and then you had to fight Goro at the end, and like Goro would just stomp you from his back, like choking, strangling, just destroying us. Nothing you could throw at him worked either. It's just like you just get your ass kicked every time.
Yeah, it was he was shooting fish in the barrel.
And he's, I'm not a big guy, and he's my size, like 5'9", 5'10", like 140, and just like beating people up like big dudes or whatever. So
just choking them out.
Yeah, and so it was literally through that experience, these weird parties that we used to have, and it was like, it wasn't strangers that came over, like we were all tight, like it was our squad, and we just go like pepper each other up in the skate park, and that's how I got introduced to it. And then so from there he gave me a little free 30-day trial or whatever, and I used to have long hair, and excuse me, we went down there, and it's kind of crazy to think about the original squad that was at that school when I first went down there, because it's like a who's who of like mixed martial artists now. And
nice.
But yeah, I
Who
remember
was training down there.
My first day there, I remember Tate Fletcher being there, Isaac Valley Flag was there, Big Dan Christensen was there.
Oh, Dan Christensen.
Yeah, and then there are some other, like Alberto Crane's like the coach,
Yeah, okay.
And Tom Pless, who's a pretty storied professor around the Southwest.
Okay. So
He
you
was
started
there,
with
so it was
Gracie
like a whole.
Baja?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And basically, me and my friend John just went in there, and we weren't strangers to fighting. Like, we were definitely strangers to jiu-jitsu, but we weren't strangers to fighting. So like, we went in there together in our little introductory class, and we were just throwing each other
Did you
into
have
walls
your
and stuff.
basketball shorts on?
Yeah, little
With
wife
pockets?
beater, and like some N ones.
Did you used to wear wife beaters?
Uh-huh.
So did I. Talk about like a cringy look. Like back on.
Yeah, so bad. What do you know?
What are you gonna do? The
Yep.
90s and.
Yep, and I had long hair, and I remember I cut my hair like right away because you'd be laying on it, trying to sit up, and you can't. Like, I'm not getting beat up on account of this mess. Shaved my head.
That's why you're. No
Shaved my
hair
head.
now.
Quit smoking. Quit doing drugs. Like, got into that, and that was like the big turning point for me.
Was jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So you're training at Gracie Baja. How long did you train there for?
Oh man. So I can't say I was like the most consistent, but I trained there for, gosh, man, at least, let's see, I trained there from when I started until I moved to. No, that's not true. Hold on, I gotta think about this for a second. I don't really know.
Don't hurt yourself.
That was at least like 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. I went from white belt, and I got my blue belt there, and then there was like the weird, I think I was like a 2 or 3 stripe blue belt, and then there was like the big weird falling out that happened. And I don't want to really touch too much on that
Yeah,
because
you're good.
it's just whatever. But
So you went from a 2-3 stripe blue belt, and you went to where?
well, and then we kind of just started our own little program at this boxing
Who?
gym. Well, originally it was Isaac Valley Flag and Ben Sandoval and my buddy Chacho. And
Okay.
Chacho and Marcos Aragon owned the school. And it's like a fitness and mostly boxing. That's what it was set up for. And so we were like literally wrestling under punching bags and like in a boxing ring and stuff when we first started. And
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple of places that do that.
Yeah.
Grappling in the boxing ring. I've done that
yeah,
a few times.
and it was cool because, even though we didn't have like a black belt source or anything like that, like we were going in and creating our own thing, and everybody there was super motivated, and we were all in great shape, and we started going to tournaments and like tearing tournaments up, and we were making a little splash in town. And then after a while, Tate Fletcher came back into town and ended up buying into the gym there and kind of taking over the jiu-jitsu program, which was pretty exciting because now we had like a formidable black belt that
Right.
we could do.
Like, he had his notary. People
Yeah.
knew who he was. He had a little bit of background.
And he has great jiu-jitsu too.
Yes.
I mean, his jiu-jitsu is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of respect for his jiu-jitsu for sure, and his students too. Like
I don't know much about his jiu-jitsu. I just know it, everybody praises it. So
Yeah.
I haven't taken the class. I know who he is, but I couldn't tell you what. I just know that he's got good praise.
He's built a very strong scene out there in the Southwest.
He's where's he? California now?
I have no idea where he is or what he's doing really. Kind of
Okay.
lost track. But yeah, after kind of a string of injuries or whatever, my time at that gym came to an end. And I ended up back at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy for probably about a year. And then in that time, I got my ex-girlfriend pregnant with my son, and we ended up moving to Las Vegas, Nevada, to be closer to her family.
Okay.
And
That's when you can't. Then you're like, all right, you had your gambling stitch when you moved out.
yeah,
there.
and that was exactly.
All right,
That was
look at that. It's like one of those movies where we had a story in the beginning, and
Yeah.
now we're back here.
We Tarantino'd.
Yeah.
So then
Tomantino. Quentin Tomantino.
Glickiatino'd.
So, all right. So now you did your gambling thing. If you guys missed it, just scroll on back to the podcast, and we're here. So the gambling thing it happened.
Yep.
Your
I socially recovered from that, sort of.
and your family hated you forever after that.
Yeah, they had their doubts. I think that was like the seed of doubt that was planted. They became the the destructive force and everything.
Then, but she was pregnant, and you were out there.
Yeah,
Were you
so-
living with her family at the time?
No, we got our own spot and all
Oh,
that,
sweet.
and I was, chefing it up, doing the thing.
So you're a chef. How'd you get into chef thing?
Well, it's kind of like kitchens are a place that derelicts can go, So being like the past that I had with no schooling or anything like that, it was really hard to get any kind of like real job. And then I had some friends in the restaurant industry, and I had my first ever job was like food service job in that coffee shop, punk rock coffee shop, and one of the owners was actually this crazy punk rock chef guy, and he used to whip up some pretty awesome stuff, and so he kind of like sparked I've always liked cooking and I've always enjoyed cooking, but he kind of sparked my interest in it a little bit at first.
Okay.
And then when I really decided that I wanted to be good at it, I was living in Colorado Springs, and I was working
And this was before New Mexico. I mean, this was before Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, way before.
So
I
you
had
had a
short
little
stint.
pit stop in Colorado Springs.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh, backtrack. Quentin
Oh, yeah.
Tarantino.
Here we go.
What were you doing out there? Chef thing?
I did some chefing out there, yeah. I did some training out there, too. I trained. My training out there was awesome.
Where'd you train?
We had like this. I'm trying to remember the coach's name. It was so long ago. I think it was Chuck. It's Chuck something or other. And I think like his story was he trained do you remember the Kickboxer movie series with Jean-Claude Van
Yes,
Damme?
that's a good movie.
Yeah. So remember the Muay Thai guy
Tom Poe?
cripples the other dude,
Yeah. The guy kind of looks like...
and he's Jean-Claude's brother in the movie,
Yes, he looks like that...
and he's like a mullet rocky
the guy
in
who
the 80s,
plays
like
the Foot Fist Way. You ever see that movie?
yeah.
They kind of look like... What's his
Yeah.
name?
Oh, I don't know, but that's a great movie. You're like the only other person I know that's seen that movie. That's great.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that
his
movie.
Danny McBride.
Yeah, Danny McBride.
That's his best movie. I think.
Oh yeah,
I think
so
everything
too.
else just kind of lame after that.
I think that's he's like a character actor. He's always the same, and I think
Yeah,
that
that
is
gets
like
old.
that's like the precipice of where he can take that character, his karate demo champion of the
That's
Southeast
so
or whatever.
awesome. And they did a good job. Whoever made that movie.
Oh, yeah?
You guys got to go back and check that out. It was like an indie film, The Foot Fist Way. And he plays. It's like his start. This is what gets him famous, was this indie movie. All the other actors heard of him through this. He just plays this karate instructor with this huge ego. And a wife who hates him.
The food fist way.
He's
Foot Fist Way.
Foot fist way.
he's
Not
a
food.
but he doesn't spar. He only does the katas.
master
He's a
of the
kata.
demo.
Yes, he's a kata master.
I think they break, right?
And
Do
then
they break?
and then he
Well, we can't ruin the movie
okay.
for them.
All right.
Don't flap your gums at the movie.
Spoiler
You're like,
alert.
watch this movie. Here, I'm gonna ruin it real quick.
So good.
So watch that movie. So he trained. Danny
Anyway,
McBride.
so the
the guy
So the
Tom
guy-
Poe beat up in the first scene,
yeah,
first fight scene.
yeah, the guy that guy crippled in the movie.
By the way, one of my favorite
Chuck
scenes
was his coach.
from that is before he fights them, and they're like warning, "Oh, they have different rules," and he's like, "This, well, can he stop this?"
Oh, that's
we
lovely.
need video for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys just imagine it at home.
That's great. You should find that clip and like post it.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Get on it, Bobby. So he trained that guy. That guy was trained.
Yeah, he was like a champion kickboxer of some
thought so.
sort of. I don't, you know what I mean? It was kind of like a cameo that he made or whatever, but he was definitely like a greasy 80s mullet rocker with the
Like
Pit
Chuck
Vipers.
Norris did
Yeah.
that stuff. The American Kickman. That stuff's pretty. Some of those guys were badass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
Superfoot Wallace.
And there were some dudes that used to kick the hell out of me in that school. But yeah, we used to train in like basically the equipment room of the Olympic
Get to the janitor's
of the
closet.
Olympic training center, like in the equipment room of the judo area of the Olympic training center in Colorado Springs. Like we had this little, and there were some tough dudes. There was a couple MMA guys there. One of the guys fought one of my friends in Santa Fe, and it was funny because I ran into him and I was in Santa Fe watching the fight. One of the guys from my school was fighting this dude Chilo.
Chilo.
Yeah, Chilo's a big old scary dude. Like that dude is.
That's such a cool name.
Yeah, scary cholo dude named Chilo.
Chilo Green.
He was super cool, but yeah, they started grilling me about my buddy. What can we do? Like, how can we take this guy out? You know, I was like, I don't know, just go fight the guy. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna give you all the beans.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you
And-
give them
and-
insider information.
Yeah, and then Chilo ended up throwing him out of the cage, and they ended up
Throw him
like,
out of the cage.
like up and over.
How? Really?
Yeah,
Oh man.
dude came out with like a flying knee, right? And he just kind of caught him in the air and like tossed him out of the cage.
And Chilo.
And then the dude, it got kind of weird, and I
Or
don't
was it
remember
a no
exactly what
contest?
happened, but they disqualified both of the guys, and then everybody threw their beers into the ring and all that stuff.
And
It was
that's
pretty.
a,
It was
that's
a pretty
New
tasteless
Mexico
moment.
fight scene. Was Greg Jackson's out there? Did
He
you
wasn't at that show.
No, but I mean, do you ever like
Oh yeah, I've
go
gone.
against the guys and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I back in the day, we used to take groups of people down, and we'd cross train with Greg all the time.
Nice.
It was always. I used to love going down there. Greg's such a cool dude.
Really nice guy.
Yeah, super gracious.
How was this facility? Raw.
Oh, it was back. Well, this was. I mean, man, this is close to 15, 20 years ago. So he wasn't as big as he is now. It was like he was just blowing up. Diego was just kind of getting his thing going. Who was sort of his, his first big name, I
Yeah,
guess.
Diego.
And he had some other guys too. Like there was Keith Jardine had been there for a long time. And they
I think
had.
Joe Stevenson was out there
Mm-hmm.
for a minute.
Trying to think of other people that were there when I was.
Isaac Valley Flag was out there for
Yeah,
a minute, right?
he trained out there for a long while, and Tate was out there for a while. A lot of the guys, at some point or another, a lot of the group of people from Alberto's used to go train with Greg's, and vice versa.
Yeah, you cross train. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They only do fighters, Greg Jackson's, huh?
It's been
Maybe
so
not
long.
at the time.
It's been so long since I've been out there, and a lot has changed. I mean, he ended up going into partnership with that Wink
Winkle
dude, and then I guess that went south, and they've opened new school. So it's kind of
And
I don't know
Cowboys got his
what's
thing,
going on.
and
I don't know what's going on out there with those guys.
It's starting to look like old Mexico. You ever hear that shitty joke about New Mexico?
What, trying to get rid of all the old Mexicans? We don't need any new ones?
No. There's two things about New Mexico. It's not really new, and it's not really Mexico.
Nope, that's a first.
Yeah, some old guy said that to me. Who lived in New Mexico. It's quite the antidote.
You know
I
what?
thought
You know what
I
the
thought you would have heard that a billion fucking times.
you know what the the vowels are in northern New Mexico?
What?
E-I-O-U-A.
Oh, that's silly.
Yeah.
That's Robbie loved it. That's fucking stupid.
I've got plenty of New Mexico jokes. Do you know why the lowriders have the tiny little steering wheels?
Why?
This is the only way you can drive wearing handcuffs.
What else you got for us?
Do you know why the high school pregnancy rate's so high in northern New Mexico?
Why?
Because the teacher told the kids to go home and write an essay.
Are they all Mexican jokes?
I try not to say they're northern New Mexican jokes.
Okay. What else you got for us?
Oh, I mean, I could keep going well into the evening, sir.
Well, we got some time. How'd you lose the tooth?
Oh shit.
If you have no more jokes.
Okay, this is a good one. Okay, so the little village that I grew up in, Pecos. When I was a kid there, I just want to say for the record, I don't even know how my parents found this place. They just out of nowhere went from, I think it was Idaho, and then found Pecos, New Mexico. Anyway, at the school there,
Pecos Park.
I mean, we were literally there was I think maybe two families other than ours in the whole valley that were white, and we all kind of caught the same shit, which I don't. It's kind of like the weird, we're the minority now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, was what we were the only ones, and and then I was the youngest of four brothers, and all my brothers had already kind of gone through the ringer and fought people, so there were people that already didn't like us and stuff. And I don't know what the deal was. Anyway, I was walking home from band practice with
What you play, the clarinet?
No, I used to play, I played in all the bands. I was a super band nerd. But I played
What you play?
I played saxophones, a couple different saxophones, and I played percussion, in concert band. I played
What's percussion?
timpani drums and some of the set drums.
Oh, so yeah, the drummer doesn't do much in the band, do they?
I crashed the cymbals. Not really. Sometimes, just for fun. But
so can you still play the sax?
no, the saxophone was actually one of the things that got stolen at the hostel.
So now you never play again.
Yeah, I've never played it. I would totally get one. I would love to pick it up and try to learn how to play again because I was pretty good.
Tragic story.
Yeah, but
sad and beautiful.
But anyway, making fun of the band nerds. Anyway, we were walking home. My buddy and I were walking home from band practice after school. And a couple of the kids, there were 3 kids that were older than us, and all of them but one was in band. And 2 of them I thought were my friends, the 2 in band. Because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
We're a band of buddies, right?
Well, and we would,
Little did you know.
One of them was a percussionist that I would rehearse with and stuff a lot, and we always got along. It was never really.
You're like, hey, can I borrow your stick? He's like, sure, friend. Your band
Sure.
stick.
You dropped yours. Here you go. Yeah.
We're friends.
It wasn't like we were, hanging out or anything, but we got along. And then one of the other guys, the guy that wasn't in band, his brother was my brother's best friend. So I thought that we were just kind of cool by proxy or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so they drive by us on the road, and then they hit the U-turn and come back around, which I've learned in my life is never good. When they drive by you and hit the U-turn,
Yeah.
some shit's about to go down. That's just kind of how it goes. So
And it's not good if you're outnumbered.
no, but if you are, it's time to get ready to figure out what you're gonna do. Anyway, So they jump out and they're, at first they're just like, what are you doing? This and that. And I'm like, we're just like walking home and stuff and this and that. And then one of the dudes asks he asked why I flipped them off. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't flip you off. And it just started to get weird from there. And so he ended up kind of becoming like the front and center guy. And we had this weird kind of like standoff. And finally he put his hand out to shake my hand, but it was his left hand. So I knew something was off, so I didn't shake his hand. And then he was like, what the fuck, dude? You're not going to shake my hand? Like, you must want some shit, blah, blah, blah. And he was way bigger than me, so I clearly wasn't. I was in, like, 7th grade, so I was like, not trying to do anything. Like, I'm scared. And he ended up just grabbing my hand when I shook his hand and pulled me into a punch and, like, smashed my tooth down my throat. And then...
Oh, what a dick.
So I'm, like, the youngest of 4 brothers, so I was fucking ready to go. Like, he hit me, knocked my fucking tooth out. I threw my backpack down. I was, like, ready to fight. And they, like, all jumped in the car and, like, ran off like bitches.
Oh,
right?
man.
And then my buddy that was with me didn't do shit. So I was, like, yelling at him. And anyway, so I got to hang out for, like, 4 hours with my tongue sticking down my throat until we can get to the hospital to, like, get it removed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then, and I've never really confronted the guy. Like, I've never really seen him to confront him about it or whatever.
Then that was it. He was gone.
And he's all fucked up and then, like, something happened to him. He like, rides. So my best friend growing up lived in his neighborhood, and we used to go over there, and we'd see that dude, like, at night. I don't know what the fuck this dude's on, like, shrooms or something, but he'd be, like, riding this, like, you have to understand, we're out in the middle of nowhere, like, rural New Mexico.
So you would see the guy.
Gravel road, you know, on, like, a 10-speed, trying to ride, like, a 10-speed down a gravel road at night with fucking sunglasses on, like,
That was
what?
him?
Yeah. Like,
you were in the car?
well, the only time I saw him, we were just chilling in my buddy's house on the porch. And he went riding by, and I was like, look at this fucking... I didn't even recognize who it was, and then dude I was with was like, yeah, fucking Dion, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's who that is? And he's like, yeah.
You missed your chance.
He actually drove into he was working for the, like, electric co-op and drove up into my family's house, and we were having, like, a big get-together and shit. And he drove fucking in the driveway all the way up to the house, and I was like, look at this motherfucker right here. And me and all my brothers started walking up, and that dude just took off, like, so fast.
The neighborhood villain took your tooth.
Yeah. He's all cracked out.
So you got a fake tooth, huh?
Flipper.
You got a flipper. Yeah, I used to have one. I was going to say, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Your tooth's not out. When'd you get the flipper?
I've had so many of them.
Me too.
I've had this one for probably longer than I've ever had one. Yeah, dude, I've had this thing since I got this made in New Mexico, so I've had this thing for 7 years now.
So you know it's got to be good.
It's gonna fucking break now that I said something about it.
Yeah, I've been through so many of them.
They're expensive too.
I know, I don't do it anymore. After I lost a really expensive one. He's like, fuck it. This is who I am now. I'm married. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. I don't think it makes a difference either way. It's not like you smoked your teeth or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. If you had, like, meth mouth, it would be different.
Yeah.
So, you're a father.
Yes.
2 kids you have, huh?
That is correct. We got a 13-year-old boy. Well, he's about to be 13 in January, and then my daughter's 8.
And you got Piper most of the time? Piper's your youngest?
Yeah, Piper's my daughter, and she's with me most of the time. Yeah, we hang out all the time.
That's awesome. She's spicy.
She's quite a little firecracker, for sure. She keeps her dad in line.
So where are the cookies? I thought you said they're in.
Oh, I need to bring them by, dude.
Oh,
They're at the country club in the freezer.
you got this fucking Honda Pilot or Element. What is it?
Yeah, it's an Element.
That thing is so fucking ugly. Sorry. Why'd you buy it?
Because I was desperate
It's
for
like
a car.
the Pontiac Aztec. My gay uncle had one. Crashed it and bought another one. Who gets
What,
the
an Aztec?
No,
Oh, an Element?
an Element.
They're that good.
Yeah. It is a Honda. I was like, how do you get the same car after you crash a car? It's like time to try a new car out.
So I will say that little shit box was a beast in the Aspen winter. Like a beast. Like blizzard
Is it
driving.
all-wheel drive?
No. It's front wheel drive. It's just a beast. Like I couldn't even believe how good that car did.
Did you put like snowboards in it?
Oh yeah.
It looks like a snowboard car. I'm gonna put my surfboard in it, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to put the surfboard on top so you look cool, or like sticking out the back, and it does that. Like the window goes up, and it has so you can stick it up and out, like the commercials.
Like that guy's got a Element and he's got a surfboard sticking out.
Wow.
Save some pussy for us.
Oh my goodness.
So how'd you get here to Chattanooga?
Well, honestly, my daughter's mom wanted to come up here to be closer to some of her family.
Where'd you meet her?
We met in Santa Fe. We actually met online on a dating app.
So wait, you went to Vegas and then back to Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
It's back in the saddle again.
That's right. Oh, I had to get out of Vegas. I have way too big of an addictive personality to live in that
I
town.
know. That's why I couldn't move there.
Holy shit.
Oof.
Trouble.
I bet. It's too easy. I would have too many problems.
Well, and then it's like you start getting like connections in the, when you work in food service, you start to meet everybody in food service. So like all of a sudden
everybody's got a nickname too.
we know everybody at every bar,
And they hook you up.
and they hook us up, and they come to our bar, and we hook them up, and then it's just like this self-perpetuating cycle that some people can handle, and I just tend to get fucking shitty.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, what?
That's like a good place to retire.
No. Well, I mean, I guess if you're loaded, I don't know. I would never live back there again.
Some people live in those casinos. They just spend their pension there.
It's so fucking hot and disgusting out there. Oh my god.
It's better than this. It's cold and rainy.
Right now it's cold.
I'm cold.
I am cold too. I've been cold for months.
I know. This isn't good. So, all right, you left Vegas. You went to New Mexico. You went on an online dating app.
Yes.
And you found your wife, your ex-wife.
Yes. Yeah, we didn't actually get married, but we were together for like 10 years, so it's common law all the way.
And she said, I need to get out to Chattanooga.
Yeah, well, we were one reason we were in southeast Louisiana, which was,
Whoa, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego now?
Yeah, so
how did we get here?
So when we got pregnant with Piper, we moved out to southeast Louisiana. I had an opportunity to open up this wedding and event venue for some pretty awesome people, and so we moved out there, and I did that, and then whatever. I moved on to actually blossomed quite a bit as a chef in that town, or in that area. I had a couple different gigs out there, but that was kind of like, I lost jiu-jitsu for 10 years, basically starting when I moved to Louisiana. Mainly just because everything's so damn spread out there. It's like an hour and a half to the nearest school.
Back then.
Yeah.
I'm sure something's popped up now.
No. We were living in the boonies, partly. So we had also like a living situation. Her family had some property out there, and we were living on it. And, trying to like save money and build for the future and all that stuff. And
That's
then
beautiful.
so yeah, and so our goals originally were to live out there for like a couple years and then find our like forever home, you know. That was like our plan. And then we moved out there. We ended up being out there for way longer than we thought. And we kind of honestly moved here sort of on a whim. Like, it was kind of sporadic.
What made you choose Chattanooga?
Well, she'd been looking at it a bunch, and she has some family right across the state in Rock Spring.
Okay.
And also she has family down in Alabama too, so it's just kind of like, and we wanted to move because education in Southeast Louisiana is like really bad. It's like third in the country.
They're not the most educated.
Yeah. And so we were trying to sort of get a better situation for our daughter, and we were looking at moving somewhere else. And the restaurant that I was chefing at, like, it was a really old building, and they're
all old in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, and
they built them once, and they're like, that's good forever.
And they our ceiling got red tagged. Like, the city red tagged our ceiling. They had to close the restaurant for like 6 months to redo the whole roof and everything like that. And we just said fuck it, and we left. We took a trip up here one time, and we're like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And then we fucking lived here.
Good enough.
And then we lived here. We rented a house and everything, like, from Louisiana, like on Zillow and shit, and it looked all nice. And then we got there, and it was a fucking shithole.
Where were you at?
Brainerd, East Brainerd.
Oh, East Brainerd's not the worst.
Dude, we found this place, and like, it was like the landlord had like strategically gone through and like figured out how to run the camera so that none of the fucked up shit in the house was like in the frame. It was crazy, because I watched the tour, and then we got to the house, and like, my ex just started crying. Like, as soon as she's pregnant, or not pregnant, that was when we moved in Santa Fe. That was another nightmare. But no, we got, and it was after like 3 days of the most hellacious move, like packing, driving, crazy, intense move. It was so stressful and hard. By far the hardest move I've ever done. And we got to the house, and she just started crying like as soon as we got to the house, because it was like a dump, and we had just signed a year lease, and there's cockroaches and shit. Like, it was bad.
Oh man.
So then like, it was just, like, the guy totally hustled us basically. So whatever. So we were living in that house, and then the tornado that ripped through East Brainerd
took that out.
The Easter tornado. Yeah, that it dropped a tree on the house and both of our cars and all that, and we ended up having to like move. That's when we moved out of that house.
Oh, it's nice. Thank you, tornado.
Yeah, thanks, tornado. And so that's how I got the element. Was for the pocket change.
You're like, this will survive the elements.
It was like the pocket change they gave me for all that. I was able to buy that awesome
You're like, look,
piece of Japanese engineering.
Next tornado comes, we are going to survive with our element, because it's fit for all the elements.
That's right. It'll catch that tree.
They should sponsor the podcast.
There you go, Honda. Where you at?
Pay up.
At Honda.
Pay up, Honda. So how was your jiu-jitsu journey out here in Chattanooga?
Oh, it's been an interesting, actually, like, the scene out here is really interesting. I went to quite a few. I was actually, before I found this place, I was considering just sort of hanging it up because of some of the interesting characters that exist in the scene out here.
Really?
Yeah.
So where'd you start at first?
Well, I didn't really start any place.
I mean, where'd you try?
I've kind of been to every gym in the area. And I got thrown out of one because I was doing jiu-jitsu. I don't really want to, like, throw people under the bus or whatever.
Yeah, but that's good. We won't throw anybody under the bus.
But yeah, I got yelled at for arm barring a purple belt.
How dare you?
And got told that that's not what they do here. And then when I said jiu-jitsu, he responded to get the fuck out of his school. So I did. I left, and yeah, I went to another place, and there was a kids class going on when I went in there, and I just wanted to like look at a schedule, maybe say hi and talk to somebody or whatever. And the owner of the school came around, and we were talking, and he was super friendly and nice. And then he asked if I had any experience, and I told him what my experience was, and that I was a brown belt, you know, and what my lineage was. And so he said, hold on a second, and he went into like some back room and just didn't come back out for like, I don't know, I just got bored and left. I was there for like almost 20 minutes, and he just didn't come back out. So I left.
That's fun.
Yeah. Then I went to another spot that was actually pretty cool. Like there was some live jits going on that I was excited about. And like there are people drinking beers and like smoking weed pens on the side of the mats, like, you know, like during class. And, you know, the guy showing techniques like over there with them. And then it's like hitting the pen on the mat, and just not really my scene.
That's a weird
It's just been like, you know, it's an interesting scene out here. And then so I actually gave up, like I stopped looking, you know, and then like I had a big major life event happen, and, you know, my family split up, and I was separated from my wife and all of that. And I actually left town and went, kind of took my work on the road, partially because I needed money, and I was starting over, and I couldn't really find work out here, and partially because I was like running away from that whole shit. And I ended up out in Aspen, up on the mountain, like just crazy job. And, you know, I didn't know anybody, and
how was it in Aspen?
Well, the Aspen is awesome, and
it's rich. You need a lot of money.
Yeah, oh yeah, $8 cups of coffee, like Folgers. It costs you $8 at a gas station type stuff. Like up in Aspen proper, it's everything up there is crazy. But the job situation that I had up there sounded amazing and was supposed to be great, and all this money. Is actually a chef buddy of mine from Santa Fe is the one that. He was working it, and he called me up there, and I have a lot of respect for him and what he does, and I wanted to go work with him, and like, cause he's somebody I can learn from, and, you know, I have a lot of respect for him and what he does. But then when we got up to the actual mountain, like, it was nothing like what they told us it was.
They sold you the dream.
Yeah. And it ended up being like probably the worst work situation I've ever had in my life. And it literally ended with, my boss calling me what did he say? Well, aren't I just a worthless piece of shit? And I was like, excuse me? Well, because I don't know. But what they do is they basically tell you what you want to hear, and then get you to move halfway across the country, and then they own you. Like, they own your housing, they own your job. So I drove 3 days to get out there, and then they didn't even have a place for me to stay. Like,
they didn't get you a hotel.
I was supposed to have a room in a house and all that. And when I got there, to the address that they gave me and all that, I go, and they're like, there's a bed in the basement, and it wasn't even like a prison cot. It was like a piece of foam, like 2-inch foam on the floor. And I was like, what the fuck? But I'd been on the road for days. I just wanted to lay down and close my eyes, you know? So I started throwing my shit down. So I'm like, nothing I can do about it now. Like, I want to catch some shut-eye. And I start setting up the bed, and this dude comes out from somewhere, and the house is a big old house, like big rental house. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, gonna go to bed, dude. I'm Daniel. I just got here. And he's like, that's my bed, bro. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that's my bed. Like, I've been sleeping there for 2 weeks now. And I'm like, well, look at this text. And I like showed him the text from the boss lady, and he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And I slept on the fucking recliner that night. You know, because they let me stay in the house. And then, like, I ended up finally getting a place after, like, 3 days of that, sleeping in the bartender's house. So they get home at, like, 5 in the morning. I'm supposed to go to work at, like, 10 in the morning. So I get no sleep. Like, it was awful. But I ended up where they finally put me. I ended up right across the street from a jiu-jitsu gym.
There's one in Aspen.
Yeah, and they're pretty damn good too.
I wonder what they charge a membership for a month.
It's not that bad. I paid.
Because everything's expensive in Aspen.
I think. I don't know that dude. I paid $100.
Wow.
It was $100 a month to go.
So I looked at like retail space in Aspen. My buddy's.
Oh, it's through the roof,
stupid
dude.
expensive.
But I think he also, like, I know he's doing well. So just if he has the opportunity, yeah, he gave me a good deal. He's a really cool guy, and he is really good. He's got some really good students there. Yeah, and it was funny because I ended up doing a kickboxing class first. Which I'm not really a kickboxer. I mean, I can kickbox, but I haven't in so long, and I'm not very good at it anyways. And I did pretty good, so I was feeling pretty good. And then I was really excited because jiu-jitsu was next, you know. And so I was getting all hungry. And I ended up rolling with this big old dude who's like 6'2", probably like 190, 200 pounds. And fucking first 30 seconds on the mat, I popped a rib out because I hadn't trained in like 10 years or whatever. And I was getting all wild trying to do like sit-outs and shit underneath
You got crazy.
underneath a giant, yeah. Yeah, and I blew my ribs out like literally the first 30 seconds of the first jiu-jitsu class that I did. And then I was able to get in there a few times. And then I finally had it with Aspen, and I went back to Santa Fe to my old school, and I didn't work or anything. I just went out there and trained for a couple weeks, kind of got into moving again and into being able to actually do some jiu-jitsu. And then that's when I came out here, and that's when we met.
Then you said, all right, I'm going to give this gym one more try. I'm going to check this gym out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going to hop back on the horse.
Hell yeah.
And you've been here ever since.
Yep. I love this place.
Well, we love having you here, Dan. It's been great having you on the podcast. You've been amazing.
I'm a motor mouth. It should be pretty natural.
Any shout outs or anybody you'd like to thank before we wrap this up?
Well, I definitely need to give a shout out to Pips, my little goose. She's definitely,
the best.
She's my fire, and I'm excited to she's all excited about jiu-jitsu. She's all timid of like boxing because she got socked up that one day in here. Were you here for that?
No, what happened?
It was like, I don't know if, because the kids class, I know they do like don't they do like a kickboxing class?
Yeah, like an MMA.
Oh, it might have been the MMA class, and she was.
But they they work more on like kickboxing.
Yeah, and so they were sparring, and she's a pretty good sport about it. You know, she plays rough with me at home, and like we have boxing gloves, and it's not like she's never been hit before. You know, It's not like I'm clobbering my child or anything, guys. And call CPS. But you know, she's pretty good in the focus mitts and stuff, and if she doesn't keep her hands up, she gets, she gets checked. And so they were doing this drill, and she walked into a wicked uppercut, like into her guts. Well, they were only doing body shots, and a bigger kid, and it was a boy, and he wasn't being mean. He was totally well within his capacity to throw the way he was. She just happened to walk into it, and you could just see it knock the soul right out of her.
Oh, man, that's the worst, the body shot.
And she was just looking over at me, and I'm on the sidelines, whatever. And she's looking at me, like, for the out. Like, can you please tell me I can stop? And I was just like, put your hands up. Like, protect yourself. And she circled around, and she got back in there, and then he did it again. Second time. And you see the soul leave her body. And she made the little and everything sound. And so she took about 3 steps away from him and just started circling, and she's just side-eyeing me the whole time, like, Dad, please save me. Please save me. Please save me. And I just told her, I was like, put your hands up. Like, protect yourself. Don't let him hit you there. If he tries to hit you there, just put your hands there. And she sucked it right up and, like, finished the round. She finished the round. I was like another minute and a half left, which when you feel like that, you know,
That's a long time.
it's a long time.
Especially when you're young.
So she finished it up, and she came over, and like you could just see the tears welling up, but she wasn't letting them go, you know. She asked for permission to sit the next round out. I told her it's fine, she's good, whatever.
It's all right. You finished what you started.
Yeah, but it's been awesome to like bring her with me on this journey, you know, like, and share this part of myself with her. It's like super rewarding.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're a really good father.
Thanks.
Dan, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This has been episode 30. We'll see you guys next week, probably.